So, you won a Band 1 in the Ucat SJT. My name's Firaz Jamil. In my Ucat, I scored a 2890 Band 1, and I'm here to tell you all about how I got a Band 1 in the SJT. Now, I think the main thing you need to remember is the SJT is not meant to be a personality test. It's meant to be a judgment test. So, my main advice here is start doing the SJT when you're practicing through your own instinct and see what you get. If your own instinct seems to be quite good, then sure, you can go with that. But I know my own personal instinct wasn't always 100% accurate and wasn't always necessarily what they wanted. So I think the main thing with SJT practice is you have to remember it's about getting a high score. You want to have answers that you think would be the correct answer, not what you would do, not what your judgment is, what you think the correct judgment is. So essentially what I would say with the SJT is essentially start out by doing a free run, using your instinct, seeing what you get, and then slowly adjust your thinking and adjust your answers to suit the test so that you get a high score. I think the most important thing to remember with getting a Band 1 in the SJT is you want most of your answers to match a panel of experts. So what you think to yourself is, if I was an expert on this, how would I make a judgment? Not you as a student making a judgment. You want to think, what is the correct judgment in this situation? Now, another thing to remember with the UCAT SJT is, although it's not necessarily scored like the other sections, you still want to ensure that you have at least a Band 2 realistically. A Band 3 may be okay, but a Band 4 can certainly rule you out from applying to and getting into some medical schools. So I wouldn't neglect the SJT if I were you. I certainly neglected it a bit at the start, panicked at the end, but that came out okay, I got a Band 1. But yeah, that's one thing I'd really say for the SJT is, remember, if you mess it up, it can have a really bad impact. So just don't mess it up, essentially. Now, in terms of other things you can do to help your SJT score, I'd say reading the GMC's Good Medical Practice Guide can get you into a really good frame of mind for the SJT. And amongst that as well, I'd say reading just in general, having your mind kind of in the world of medicine, thinking about what you saw on your work experience, books you've read, videos you've watched on YouTube perhaps, and also just reading model SJT explanations. I think that also really helps with understanding what they want in the SJT. But yeah, I think the main takeaway for getting a Band 1 in the UCAT SJT is you want to make judgments that you think are correct and an expert would follow. It's not asking for what you think you would do, or it's not a personality test. It's something where you're trying to score highly, so forget trying to be brutally honest on each answer, and instead take a moment, make sure you put the answer that you genuinely believe an expert would choose and what you think would fit the relevant regulations. Now, another thing to remember with SJT is timing can be an issue. So I'd say make sure you do practice tests and make sure that you get the timing down, because the last thing you want to do is to get a low score because you haven't answered all of the questions. So yeah, those are essentially my top tips to get a Band 1 in the UCAT SJT. It's not easy, but it's certainly doable. If you're doing the UCAT, the BMAT, or just generally applying to medical school this year, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, because I've got tons of helpful videos coming out every other day. Thank you for watching, and please make sure you're subscribed.